5 things your twin flame is not. Your twin flame is not an asshole, famous, dead, changing bodies, the same defined gender. Now, let's start at number 1. Your twin flame is not an asshole. So that's some sort of different than people some sort of think often, because yes, you get this beautiful love in your life and you think this person is totally it. They may be it. It could be. But then something happens and it's not according to what you think should happen. It's not according to what you think is loving, what your ego personality think that is what a romantic interest should do to you or in your presence. And you will quickly say, oh, I see it. It's an asshole. And then people sometimes even go to the conclusion that the twin flame is the asshole in your life. Like, oh, when it's an asshole, then it's your twin flame. Well, that is all complete nonsense. These are like wrong conclusions out of something that happened, that can happen. So let's look at it. When it is your true twin flame, and sometimes it's not, but when it is your true twin flame and there's only one for you out there, that is truly it, because you have the exact same soul blueprint. That's what that is. You cannot choose it, you cannot will it, or either they have the exact same soul blueprint or not. That's just it. That's the choice that you have there. But if they are truly your twin flame, and they would do something to or with you or something that to you seems like is interpreted as unkind, not really great, that is an invitation to do the key exercise. And that is the central twin flame tool that I would advise for you, that Divine Mother gave me around 2011. And it was also sanctioned by the Christed Masters that I worked with. And in that key exercise, you will always see that any such situation is the invitation to go into step 1 and then go to step 2, 3, and 4. And you will feel completely different. And your reality will have changed. They will have changed, or how you look at them and the situation and yourself will have changed. And therefore, you will not be upset anymore about it. Because now you understand that the world and other people and even your own body is a reflection of your inner world. Your inner world is not your body. It's not even your personality or your ego. It's your inner world. And the outside world, including your body and personality and ego and the other people in your true twin flame's body, they are reflecting something that is on the inside in your inner world the case. So if there is something going on in your inner world that is out of step with true peace and divine love, then that may very well reflect in the world as your body having aches, people being unkind, and biggest mirror of them all, your true twin flame doing something that you interpret as unkind, if not asshole-ish. So how do you undo it? Go to your inner world and change it there. And then things in the outer world will streamline according to that inner world change. It has to, because that's spiritual law. That's how your reality is built. If you say, I tried it, but it doesn't work, then you might not have done it correctly. There may be this misunderstanding about what it is that you need to do, how this exercise works, and often a misunderstanding about what this true foundational bottom line, deep core and source inside of you even is, that is meant here where you should be arriving at when you've done the exercise or exercises or etc. Don't expect from one exercise executed in 30 seconds to have everything change. You need to keep on doing it. So that's often the case, that we not necessarily understand what is our deepest foundation, and we stand on something untrue, and then all these sort of things are happening all the time. You can't seem to undo it, and the exercise doesn't seem to make sense, because you need to go to the deeper you. That's really the invitation. So it's always good to have guidance with doing the exercise. So your twin flame is not an asshole. If that is what you experience, if that is what you think, then that is a sign that something inside of your inner world is kind of assholish, and you can repair it there. 2, your twin flame is not famous. Oh gosh, well, there we go. Your twin flame is not famous. Really? I mean, I know people that think their twin flame is famous, and they would say, really? Really? Well, mine is. Okay. No problem. I'm not here to disqualify your personality or ego. I'm just saying that your soul, where your twin flame blueprint anchors into your being, is not your personality or ego. And when you say that they're your twin flame, that's where it should be anchored in, right? So it is never meant as an insult, because that's not what this conversation is about. It's not about your ego personality layer that can be insulted. It's about the truth of the matter. And the fact is that the truth of the matter with twin flames is such that you will have approximately the same desire to be famous in the world, right? It's not going to be you and them made out of the same cloth, with the same soul cloth, right? With the same underlying true values, that they want to have their values such that they want to be open towards the whole wide world on TV every day almost, or in the papers on every day for 20 years during the high point of their career life. And the other twin flame absolutely doesn't. There's something not really vibing there, you see. So that might just mean that you're not made out of the same soul cloth, so to speak. So think about it that way. Are you world famous? Do you have values, underlying values, that make you desire to have such a life? If not, well, maybe you did have a spark for the perceived personality of this famous person on TV. Okay, but it's not your twin flame. But they might mirror something back to you that does make sense in your healing life. So that's how you could see it, certainly, and that's no problem. Maybe this famous person and famous persons in general are very fit for our projections, so that we can learn things about ourselves when we do the correct twin flame inner work, and that's going to be with the key exercise. But most probably your twin flame is not famous, because you are most probably not Katy Perry or Taylor Swift yourself. So that doesn't vibe, and that's not how true twin flames are built. Does Michael Jackson, does Pope Francis have a twin flame? Yes, they do. Famous people have twin flames. But they are their twin flames. They are in their realm, having approximately the same desires, and they share their underlying values, right? So there will be something very famous or very religious or deeply musical about the twin flames of these two, just random examples that came up in me, but they're famous. Yeah. And that's not you. And that's no problem. Because you can use whatever you feel is giving you some emotional resonance on the outside to do the inner work on the inside of you, and that brings you closer to your true twin flame. And that is the only one that opens the door for you, with you, to your true abundance, which is feeling your ultimate best, living your best life, having your soul money flow to you with ease, etc., etc. This is your best option, whether they are famous or not. And that is the one that we are interested in for you. You go to that place and know that it's for real by going to the consciousness place of harmonious twin flame union with a teacher, for instance, with me. I would love to welcome you in so that we can make it come true for you. 3. Your twin flame is not dead. So how do I know this? Because you have your experiences, right? You have experienced things that you met this person and you had this amazing click and you did believe this was a deeper love, and they did get ill, or they did get this accident on a motorcycle or something, and they did die, and you saw them dead, and they went in their grave, or they were cremated. So what the heck am I talking about, you might say. And I understand that this is a very, very deeply sensitive topic, which you might not want to hear if you are somewhere in that realm and deeply believing in that. And that's okay. Take your time. Come back to this video when you feel ready. So why am I so sure that your twin flame is not dead? So if you want to hear the answer, here is it. You want to be with your twin flame now. You have the desire to be with them now, apparently. Because that's why you're in this video. You are alive now. And that is why they have the desire to be with you, and they are alive now. Sure, there can be a little bit of lag in this, you know. In my former lifetime, my true twin flame was coming into physical life 30 years later than I was already here. That's quite a significant age gap. But that doesn't need to mean anything. And it certainly doesn't mean that we're not twin flames. We desire to be together for friendship, mission, and being spiritual teachers. That's what we did. That's why we're here again. And that was okay. That worked out fine with a 30-year gap. So there was like 30 years in which I could have said, oh, my twin flame is dead, I think. Sure, until he's born and comes in, etc., 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 and we meet. We start mission. We started a school back then that is still around on the earth today. A spiritual school. Sometimes you are with your twin flame, genuinely your twin flame, and they die. And that is approximately when you die too. But there can be a little bit of a lag in between. Sure. In that last lifetime, I remember, but it's also very well documented, that things were coming to a high point in the mission. And it was some sort of completed. And I died. And within a couple of years, 3 or so, my twin flame died too. But should you be here and your twin flame has died, then you are not going to a video like this looking for, I want to be with my twin flame now, because I haven't had that experience yet. Then you know that you already got it and things feel pretty much closed off for you as well. So when you're here and you desire to be with your twin flame, you are alive and you desire to be together. And that is a sign that they are too, because you are each other's twin flames. That's what that is. You do have the desire to be in the same realm together, approximately in the same time, to fulfill that desire to have this love together in all ways possible. So that's why I am sure that your twin flame is not dead. 4. Your twin flame is not changing bodies. So sometimes people have, I don't know, some sort of spiritual fantasies about, oh yeah, then you have a soul and the soul clicks in with the body, but then it declicks with the body because something happens and they need to be in another body and they click in with another body. And then my twin flame soul has moved from one body to the other. And so I had a boyfriend and then we sort of split up, but that was okay because his soul left his body and then he stepped into the body of a motorcyclist that was about to die on the road and because of an accident. And then he slipped into that body and then he motorcycled to my home and then he came back in another body and I knew that was my twin flame again. Or I don't know what kind of scenarios people come up with, but these kind of stories, or maybe quite different, but it sort of comes down to the same thing, I guess. They can be told sometimes. And well, the point is that Divine Mother says, and when you are in harmonious union and you click in with the greater intelligence and you develop yourself and become a twin flame teacher and you know, and of your own experience you know, then you know that twin flames do not swap bodies. That's not a thing. It's not a game, you know, like, yeah, let's swap again and swap again because we can just swap, doesn't matter, you know. That's not what that is. That's not a thing. It's not life. Your soul incarnates in a body, and that takes place, and for your twin flame too, and that takes place in a bigger whole of the spiritual, which means the foundational reality. And that does listen to certain laws, but it's not a game that we can like tear these elements apart at will and like, let's uncreate myself, let's split my soul from my body before I am done with this lifetime and swap into another one and do that over, swap again. That's not what that is. Life is a beautiful construct of elements that are really integral in each other as a whole and as one. And it is a very sacred journey to attune on your inner levels the right way so that all these levels of the body and the soul and the bigger whole in which both you and your twin flame have incarnated in that way, and that is the bigger spiritual foundational reality on a divine vibration, and to have that attuned in alignment with your deepest core, and then see how this comes together in a harmonious way and becomes an expression of divine love. That is a very sacred development that comes from your inner attunement only. And that feels magical enough. No need to overcomplicate it or to rip that apart or something with your fantasy. That's just not necessary. When in that process of aligning yourself with your deepest core vibration and seeing this reality come together and present itself as a harmonious oneness that can be lived as your eternal life, you step into that last possible option for you as a soul, which is just live for what it is, fully healed, with your true twin flame in divine love, because that's what it is. That's the invitation. And within that whole development of you, something kind of miraculous happens. Well, miraculous things will happen, don't worry. But you don't need to make that a whole complicated, weird game of swapping bodies or whatever. If something happens for you there that seems rather miraculous, beautiful, amazing, but don't think that like the theory of twin flames consists of swapping bodies and that you can I don't know. That's not how that works. So that's not what your twin flame is. And what more is your twin flame not? Well, your twin flame is not the same divine gender. So I accept that you may have, at this moment, a way of presenting yourself in the world that seems that it fits you and it feels like you feel safe with it and at home with it. And I appreciate that you also have a physical vehicle on the earth that perhaps has more what we call female or male physical features. Okay. And there's an interplay between both. But the truth of twin flame is that we're actually going to the underlying layer of the spiritual truth. And that actually becomes over time when you do the journey and you go in the changes of consciousness that entails, then you might start to slowly over time more and more tune yourself to what that layer is actually telling you that the gender is, instead of the former two that I very shortly explained. Of course, we could say much more about that. It's actually not strange that you would more and more be influenced by what your gender is, if you want to call that word gender, on that layer like that, of the layer of where you are the twin flame blueprint, where you are spirit. Because in that layer, it's very fundamental in what you are, in your soul, your invisible presence, let's say. That is where you are the divine masculine or the divine feminine. And it's kind of logical that more and more you start to attune to that one. So that might change how you feel and think about your physical vehicle and how you think and feel about your presentation and the forms that you feel safe in. And sometimes we have unexpected combinations that you might have not preconceived as what you are and or what your twin flame is on these three. Let's take these 3 layers, on these 3 layers. But what can never happen, so there can be a surprise, or it can be different than you thought that it was, or yeah, there can be many things going on there, and that's beautiful to uncover that more and more. So you might also get situations that we could call in our daily life speak in our society a gay love or a lesbian love or something. And that is often more about the bodily layer and the gender presentation layer. But What it cannot be is the same soul level, twin flame spirit level underneath the thing, fundamental spiritual level, divine masculine or divine feminine, kind of the same gender. Because then it would not be your twin flame. So your twin flame will not be the same divine gender, will not be two divine masculines and two divine feminines. But that doesn't hold you back from having a stacked 3-layer combination, the both of you, that you feel good about right now. And feeling the love between the both of you. And having the true twin flame next to you. So that this love is the true twin flame. It is the true divine love. You do open each other's door towards your true abundance. Your divine health. You're feeling really good. Your soul money. Your mission life. And everything else that it entails to be in your abundance. You do open that for each other. You are each other's ultimate lover. You are both developing in how you stand in all layers of you. And you do encourage each other to bring out your very best version in all of that. And you love each other through that development. That's what is here. And that's what twin flame love always is. Whether you have relatively more challenges or temporary confusion in these layers and in these roles and in the gender roles on multiple layers, or not. Or you have less confusion there. Then you still stand next to each other, have your own kind of challenges, and bring out the best in you. And stand in love together while you support each other, becoming this best self of you. So that is always what is going on. Some people have more work to do in the gender department. Other people have more to do in who knows what kind of department that they have to look into to become their true full self, their true expression. So your twin flame is not the same divine gender, because then it would be someone else's twin flame. And I don't advise taking that on, because they don't open the door for you to your abundance. So I hope this helped. Love from Petra.